Domal Palel El Hashem, Et Kol Tefila Vatchina Zod, Kam Lefnei Mizbach Hashem, Nekroa Abirkav, Kapav Prusot Hashemayim. Okay, so it was when Shlomo finished davening in Palel to Hashem, all the tefillas and all the supplications that he did. So he stood up from before the Mizbeach, from bowing down on his knees, because they used to pray like that. I heard that we stopped because of to make us separate, to distinguish ourselves from the new religions that came up from Christianity. I think, I'm not sure if that's true, but that's why I heard such a thing. So anyway, there was such a thing as davening on the knees. And v'yamod v'yavarech et kol kahal Yisrael kol gadol lemor. And he stood up and he began to bless the whole kehillah with a great voice, saying. So now starts the bracha. He turns to give a blessing to the Am. Baruch Hashem asher natan mudchan l'amo Yisrael k'chol asher diber lo nafal davar echad mikol davaro v'tov asher diber b'yad Moshe avdo. So blessed is Hashem who gave menucha to his nation, tranquility, just as he spoke, and not one thing fell from everything that he predicted in the hands of Moshe. So the menucha, Hashem predicted there would be menucha, there would be tranquility from all the nations around us, and then we would build the Beis Hamikdash. So that's what happened. The Beis Hamikdash had to be built, as we mentioned, out of a complete altruism, veikut, not because we needed it to succeed. So that happens after our success, after we were already, let's say, tranquility. We built the Beis Hamikdash to complete our relationship with Hashem. He Hashem Elokeinu imanu kasher ya'im avotenu ayizvenu v'al yitshenu. Hashem should be with us like He was with our fathers. He should not abandon us or forsake us. Latot l'avenu elav, to move our hearts to Him. L'lechet b'kol d'rachav, to go in all His ways. L'shmor mitzvotav v'chukav v'mishpatav, keep all of His mitzvahs, statutes, laws. Shirtziva et avosenu, which He commanded our fathers. V'yu devarei eila asher hitchananti lefnei Hashem krovim el Hashem yomam v'layla lasot mishpat avdo mishpat amo Yisrael dvar yom b'yomo. And these words which I have supplicated before Hashem, they should be close to Him day and night to do the judgment of His servant, the judgment of His people, day by day. The man dat kol amearetz ki Hashem hu Elokim einod. In order that everyone should know, all the nations of the world should know that Hashem is the Elokim. Hashem is the one that's running the world. The one who was, is, will be, the one who's the master of the world. He is also the force behind everything that happens. The one who created the world. He's the one who conducts the world. Everyone will know that. And their heart will be whole to go in His ways like this day. Okay, so here is the blessing of Shlomo Melech for the future, for the Am for the future. What he's asking Hashem that He should bring down to the Am for the future. So the blessing is like this. He's saying that we should have a relationship with Hashem like we did when we went out of Egypt. Because then we had a very close relationship and a constant, interaction between us. And it shouldn't be the other way. So the Malbim explains there's two ways that we come close to Hashem, and the nation turns to Hashem. One way is that when we're not doing well, and we're not focused, and we're not on track, then Hashem sort of leaves us to the ways of nature, distances Himself from us. Things start to go badly, we start to have problems, even tragedy sometimes. And then what happens is the person starts to find within himself a new idea. Everything I did wasn't working till now. All of my working with nature, trying to succeed, in the world as it appeared to me, wasn't working. So I have to go and search for Hashem. So that's one way that He brings us near to Him. I think in Alcoholics Anonymous, I think that's the first step. The person has to realize that he doesn't have control. He needs to find a higher power. Right? So that's the genius idea of Alcoholics Anonymous. It saves, millions of alcoholics. Starting from that idea that give up. You're not going to succeed anyway. You can't succeed. You're on your own. You're a failure. Everything you tried till now didn't work. It's never going to work. Talk to Hashem. Look to a higher source to help you. That's the only way. That's how the person begins to go out of his addictions, let's say. Okay, but anyway, so that's true for everything. That's an extreme example, but it's true for all nations, all people, that when you get lost when things start to get really badly and the person gets confused by his inability to navigate the world, he tried this, it doesn't work, then he starts looking for a new idea, right? So that's one way that Hashem gets us close to him. He draws us close through that process. But then there's another way. Other way is that we're in a constant interaction. We're doing the mitzvot, and we're growing, and we are in a constant relationship, and that constant keeps affirming itself. No, not tshuva, dveikut. In other words, tshuva is the first way, really. Tshuva comes, or there's a different kind of tshuva. You could say actually, I agree with you saying. You're saying tshuva in the positive sense. We're constantly getting near to Hashem in the positive sense, like orota tshuva, like what Rav Kook stresses there. There's different kinds of tshuva. The first way is tshuva that comes out of a lack, out of failure. Then you have to change. You have to look for something new. I wanted to tell you a story about this. Let me tell you about that. There's a very interesting story from Rabbi Salanter. The story is Rabbi Salanter was one of the greatest tzaddikim in modern times in Lithuania. He began the Muster movement. Started bringing into the world of yeshivot the feeling that they need to learn Siddur Sharm, the Chavod Levava. They have to start working more on their midot, explicitly. And the story is he was a big tzaddik. He was a gaon. He was an amazing person. One day he got up and left Lithuania and he went to Germany. And they asked him, "Where are you going?" He said, "I'm going to Germany." He says, "We need you here. There's a lot to do here also." He says, "Yeah, but I want to go to Germany." "Why? What are you going to Germany for?" He said, told him a mashal. He says, sometimes if you have, let's say you're up on a mountain and you have like a wagon, and the wagon gets away and starts rolling down the mountains. You run after it, you try to stop it. So when it's all the way on its way down, on its descent, you can't stop it. It has too much momentum. Only time you can start to bring it back is when it goes all the way down to the bottom and it hits bottom, then you can start pushing back up again. So Sandra said, I want to help the German Jews do tshuva, come back to Hashem, because they hit bottom already. And so that's that's the best place to do kiruv, to outreach and to help people come back. So,
trenches.
So what?
The trenches.
In the trenches, yeah, exactly. So that's one way to get close to Hashem. That's what Melachim says. But then there's another way, which is ideal way, which we strive for. We don't always want to have ups and downs, endless ups and downs, and rise up, be successful, and then forget Hashem and go down until we have to remember Hashem again. That's the way it could work. But there's another way, is that we have a system of mitzvah, we have a system of Torah, we have the system which engages us directly, and through simcha, through success, through spiritual success, social success, material success, through all those, we can maintain our connection and constantly increase our connection. What you said is the positive angle on tshuva. Constantly returning to our source more and more, which is our deepest nature, as Rothman says. So that's what Shlomo Melech is davening for. He says, you should be with us, Hashem, like you were with Am Yisrael when we came out of Egypt. There was a constant, very close relationship. And you'll turn our hearts to go in your ways and to keep your mitzvot. And these words, which I am supplicating before you, they should be close to you day and night, to do the judgment of your servant and of your nation every day. In order that all the nations will know that Hashem is Elohim. And then their heart will be shalem im Hashem. They'll have a whole heart with Hashem. Go in His ways and to keep His mitzvah. So he says one more. So this last part of this bakasha, this blessing he's giving, the Malbim brings him something else also over here. He says like this: there's two ways where Hashem sends down His guidance for the world. There's two more ways. the way Hashem works. Is that one is I have Rosh Hashanah every year, and Rosh Hashanah Hashem makes a decree for the world, for the Jews and for the whole world. People are standing in judgment then, and the Jews go and we pour our hearts for Hashem. And Hashem makes a judgment for the next year on Rosh Hashanah. And then what happens that year is following what Hashem decreed for the year. If it goes like that, it's going to look like nature to a lot of people. They're not going to see a direct interaction. Hashem is guiding it. Hashem decreed. Hashem said this is what's going to happen this year. This is what happens. But it's not this. You don't feel the direct relationship. There's another way. Even though there's a decree in the beginning, there's also an ability to constantly manage it. And every day, there's a judgment every day, and there's tefillot every day. This in the Bali Tosfot, they ask the question, if Hashem makes a decree at the beginning of the year, so how can we daven every day? What are we praying for? Things are predetermined. Answer is, there may be the amount of bounty that's going to come into the world is predetermined, that's what Tosfot says. But how it's going to come down in a good way, in a bad way, too much rain, the right amount of rain. Exactly. So we're in a constant interaction with Hashem. So Shlomo Melech is asking that should be the way, that should be our relationship. We should be constantly, we'll pray to Hashem, He'll respond to us, we'll seek Him out, He'll guide us, constant relationship, and then we won't have a divided heart. We won't have saying like, where is Hashem? And is Hashem really with us? And what in this situation of Suffolk? It's interesting, you see today that there's different streams in the Israeli society today also. Some people are looking for someone to blame, and they're very upset. And
babies to blame.
What?
Babies to blame.
Yeah, and this one and that one, the babies and this one. And some people are having, they're having asonot and tragedies, chas v'shalom. But them and the other people, they're looking for someone to blame. Other people are very excited about Am Yisrael. And even people that suffered losses and terrible losses, they're not looking to blame anyone. They're happy that Hashem is empowering us to fight the battle we have to fight and the great courage of the nation that's rising up. And they're looking at that, So that's the closer kind of relationship we want to have. And the other kind, when is Hashem with us or not, and who's to blame over here, that's the kind we don't want. So that's what Shlomo Melech is davening for. It's not to say everyone, we do have to work with nature. We have to do our best. We have to look always to improve all of our actions and our ethics. And we're always working on that and examining ourselves and doing tshuva. But there's also an enthusiasm. We know Hashem is with us. We know that Hashem is behind us. We know we have a holy nation that's being constantly guided by Hashem. We see it now so much. If you look now, even in the midst of a tragedy, you see so much going on. I had a discussion with someone. Someone said to me, this person, not a religious person, he said to me, we were talking about what's going on in the war and the attack we underwent. And we were talking about how terrible it is. And he said to me, and it had no use. It was useless. This is useless. This has no benefit. So I wasn't sure what to say. But I'm thinking afterwards, what can I say when a person says that? Nothing's useless in this world. Everything has a benefit. Even the biggest tragedies, there's a reason for that. And you can't always see it right away, and you can never see it completely, but I'll give you an example of what we see now. I'm just talking with politics for a minute. Like, we see how armed and fierce Hamas is, and financed. It's a nation of terror. They've been building for decades with gigantic financing and a vicious attitude, And now, because we already suddenly have that terrible tragedy we had, the nation knows that you can't leave it anymore, that we have to address it, So that's, in a way, it's a blessing. It's a tragedy for the individuals, and each one has, it's also, there's different cheshbonos for that also. There's a next world as well, But for the nation, it's a wake-up. What would happen if we didn't have a wake-up? So then it's a gradual breaking down of our system, of our morality, of our defenses, So it's amazing. What's happening is the nation is so strong, So it's amazing. So it's definitely, it wasn't for nothing. Yeah. And even if the unity, recedes a little bit afterwards, it doesn't mean we didn't go up a level. Okay, anyway, putting that aside. Okay, so that's the first part. So that's Shlomo Melch's blessing for Am Yisrael, is we should be in this constant relationship, not a relationship where Hashem hides His face, and where we go into situations which is a little bit also what's happening now, also somewhat, but it's a combination. We also have a rising nation in Eretz Yisrael. It's much better than it was in earlier times with pogroms and things like that, because we had no nation, we had no army, we had no nothing, But it's still an element of that. It's still an element of Hester Panim. Hashem hid His face from us, Okay, but anyway, so Shlomo Melech is davening that from now on it should be like that. It shouldn't be any hiding of Hashem's face. It should all be this constant relationship. And we ask for Hashem for what we need every day. We're praying to Hashem constantly on a basis, and we're feeling the response. And that's what Shlomo Melech is davening for. Now that we have a Beis Hamikdash,
He's on a high.
He's on a high. Yeah. We're just learning this morning in Rav Kook about what happens when you have a Beis Hamikdash. What happens is all the mitzvahs become more kadosh. They become much more powerful, much more strong, and all the midos, all the character of people gets much more refined, much better, much elevated. That's why you have prophets in the times of the Beis Hamikdash, because He said that's with the midot, the character, the deep feeling, the yiras Hashem, the avos Hashem, the dveikut. So Shlomo was saying, now we have a Beis Hamikdash, so we can now have this very close relationship. So he's asking Hashem for that. Okay. V'melech v'kol Yisrael imo zovchim zevach lifnei Hashem. And the king and all of Israel are sacrificing sacrifices to Hashem. They made now a big Suda after the Beis Hamikdash is completed. V'yizbach Shlomo et zevach hashlamim asher zavach l'Hashem bakar esrim ushnaim elef. What were the sacrifices at this Suda? He sacrificed, so cattle, he sacrificed 22,000. And from the sheep, they sacrificed 120,000. So this was pretty much, I guess, all of the Jewish nation feasting over here. And so they had to sacrifice all those ones. And they consecrated the house of Hashem. The Kolbanis, they were all consecrated with the house. Right, exactly. All right. I wasn't trying to translate. That's correct. Yomahu Kiddush Hamelech et Tocha Chatzer Shevnei Beit Hashem. Kashasham et Ola vet Mincha vet Chel ve'Ishlamim Mizbachan Nechoshde Shelefnei Hashem Katon Me'achil et Ola vet Mincha vet Chel ve'Ishlamim. So this is an interesting pasuk. There's a lot of discussion in the Mefarshim about it. What it seems to mean is there was not enough room on the Mizbeach for all the sacrifices, and all the fats that had to be burned, and all the and all the limbs that had to be burned from the olot. So what did Shlomo Melech do? He sanctified the floor, and he somehow made it that the floor became like the Mizbeach. That's what it seems like. So how that works exactly, that's the job of the Mefarshim to talk about. There's different opinions about this, but that's what it seems like. So they were able to sacrifice on the floor this time. He's makdish the floor. This is now going to be a mizbeach as well.
The fire comes down to the floor too?
I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know if the fire wouldn't come down on every korban. Come down on the korban tamid. One in the morning, one in the evening. That was the system. I don't know if there was fires coming down now. I'm not sure. Could be. It doesn't say that. That'd be really cool. If you were shechting on the floor, the fires were coming down, eating the olot. V'yashlam abed hahi et echag v'kol Yisrael imo kol gadol melavo chamat ad nachal Mitzrayim v'fnei Hashem Elokeinu shivat yamim v'shivat yamim arba asar yom. So there's a gigantic assembly, and they kept Sukkot. It came out to be Sukkot at this time, and they kept the 7 days of Sukkot. And it says the people were extending all the way to a place called Chamat, Nachal Mitzrayim. That's how there was just like a gigantic gathering of people way beyond Yerushalayim, all involved in this. And they kept 7 days of Sukkot, and then they kept 7 more days, the other way around. First they kept the 7 days, or the other way around, I think it's the other way around. 7 days of consecrating the temple, the Beis Hamikdash, and then 7 more days of Sukkah came after that. And then that's what it means. And so there are 14 days. B'yom hashmini, shilach et ha'am, v'yivarchu et hamelech, v'yalchu la'aleihem, smeichim v'tovei lev, I'll call Atova, Sharasa Hashem, David, Avdo, Yisrael Amo. So, and on the 8th day, that's Shmini Atzeret, so he said to the nation that they should bless the king. So Shlomo Melech says, now time, I've been blessing the nation all this time, and now it's time for the nation to bless the king. And then so they did that, and that's a thing that continued. It's a mitzvah that there's a Mavarchim es HaMelech on Shmini Atzeres in the Beis Hamikdash. And then what?
Say it again. Sorry.
The Am would give a bracha to the Melech
On Shmini
on Shmini Atzeres. Yeah.
From this, because of this.
It started here. It seems like the minhag began with Shlomo Melech. So okay, so they went home, and so then v'yalchu la'aleihem. The following night, the Gemara says they would sleep over that night. They wouldn't go home at night. They go home the next morning. Then they went back to their tents, rejoicing with good hearts because of all the good, all the bounty that Hashem did for David Avdo and Yisrael Amo. Okay, so that's the end of this chapter. So I want to speak out something I saw from Rav Kashiel about this here, very interesting thing. So it seems like we're holding by Mashiach here. And the things are actually coming together in the biggest way they ever have in history. And they are. You have here Malkut Yisrael in its fullest sense. You have a king that's the biggest tzaddik, Shlomo ben David, the biggest chacham, biggest tzaddik, and you have the nation all together, unified. You have all the enemies at bay. You have the Beis Hamikdash built, and you have this lofty spirit going permeating the Am. And Shlomo Melech is davening that it should become Mashiach sight. No more tragedies, no more ups and downs. Constant growing relationship, tshuva to the source. And Rav Kook speaks that out also in the Sefer Mahalach Hedei of Yisrael. So it was like very close. The Gemara says that the moon was full. The moon represents Malchut, and the sun represents the Dei Elokit, we'll call it, like the divine influence received into this world. In other words, it's coming together, the sun and the moon. The spiritual realities with the social realities, the government, the whole national structure. It's all coming together in Am Yisrael. The moon is full to receive the light. Right? In other words, it's like reflecting the light of Hashem. That's us, the moon, reflecting the light of Hashem. Something like that. So you have the divine Dei Elokit and the Dei Elokit coming together. And then the Gemara says, the Gemara says, Loya olam kulo kedai kiyom shenitan bo shir shirim Yisrael. The whole world was worth it for the day that Shir Shirim was given to Israel. Shlomo Melech wrote Shir Shirim, the Song of Songs. Shekol ketuvim kodesh v'shir shirim kodesh kodashim. All the ketuvim are kodesh, and Shir Shirim is kodesh kodashim. So Shlomo Melech wrote this, and it describes in Shir Shirim the coming together of the Chatan and the Kala. Right. So the Kala means Malchut. That means the receiving, and the kingdom, and the world of human interactions, and the Chatan means the Dei Elokit, the divine mashpia, right? Influence. So that's what Shir Shirim is about, the Chatan and the Kala coming together. And so Shir Shirim is the highest of all this farm because it describes this unification of that took place. So this was happening at Shlomo's time. So the question is, why didn't it stay? Right? So he says, Rav Kashiel, there's a hint here in this pasuk Samach Vav, when it's Yom Shmini, Hashem told them, the individuals, to bless him. Till now, it was the king blessing the individuals. And we had the environment for that. Everything had risen up. We'd gone through a lot of things with Shoftim and Melachim. And now we're up to Shoftim and also the first part of Melachim. And now we're up to this great coming together of the Malchut Yisrael. But now Shlomo says, but now the individuals have to rise up. They have to come to the plate. Each individual has to sanctify his personal life. And he sends them back, first give me the bracha now. Give me the bracha from you. Now you, the individuals, have to now, it's not only a national success, it has to be, each individual has to now bring into their regular daily lives this great inspiration which we're experiencing. And so we'll start out, you will give the king a bracha. Because now it has to flow back, the blessing from the individuals to the malchus. So the problem here was the individual. So he sent them back home. Go back home and go back to your family life and your parnasa life and all your daily life. Bring it into this high level that we're into. So individuals had to do that. So for some reason, that's where it failed. That's what Rav Kook writes over here. Somehow, in the individual level, they weren't able to bring it all together. There was a lack of musar. There was lack of midah. The musar level was imperfection. The midah level was imperfect. And so they didn't succeed as individuals, as families, to make it happen from that end. So as a result, it all fell down again after that. And we're working back towards the time of Shlomo. We haven't gotten to that height since then. And we're working back to bring back the two angles. Angle of the Dei Elokit, Dei Lumit, bringing back together, working since then. But it's also interesting that Shlomo Melech, after he wrote Shir Shirim, he wrote two more Sfarim. He wrote Mishlei, and he wrote Kohelet. So they're both about Midot, especially Mishlei. It's all about the individual, and it's about the wisdom of how to live, and how to work with yourself, and bring out the perfection of the individual. Mostly about that. And Kohelet is also about that a lot. So why did Shlomo Melech write those? Because that's where the nation needed to get Chizik.
It's a little bit of a rebuke, writing the Mishnah.
It's a guidance. It's guidance for the people. Yeah. It's a guidance. It's the most amazing Sefer. It's such wisdom in how to live and how to understand human beings and relationships. Okay. So going further. V'yikachalot Shlomo livnot et Beit Hashem, et Beit HaMelech, ve'kol cheshek Shlomo asher chafetz lasot. And it wasn't Shlomo finished building the house of Hashem and the house of the king, and everything Shlomo wanted to do, he did. So it's really interesting. So Shlomo wanted to do it. He accomplished everything he wanted as far as building Am Yisrael and Eretz Yisrael, Shalayim, Beis HaMikdash, Beis HaMelech. V'yera Hashem el Shlomo, Sheni kasher nir alav b'givon. And Hashem appeared to him a second time, as he appeared to him the first time in Givon. Givon is when he had the dream. And he became king, and Hashem asked him, what do you want? Wealth, wisdom, and he asked for wisdom, and that was like a big nevuah. That was a very powerful nevuah, prophecy. And Hashem said, okay, I'll give you all the wisdom. He woke up, and he had all the wisdom. So here again is the second time when Hashem appears to him with a very lofty prophecy. V'yomer Hashem elav, Shemati et tfilatcha v'tchinatcha. Hashem said to him, I heard your tefillah and your supplication. Sher tchananta lefanai, that you supplicated before me. Hikdashti et habayit hazeh, I sanctified this house. Sher banita, which you built, l'sum shemi sham, to put my name there. Ad olam. V'yu einai v'libi sham kol yamim. My eyes and my heart would be there all the days. V'ta im telech lefanai, v'sher halach David, avicha, v'tam levav, v'yosher, l'sot k'kol asher tziviticha, chukai u'mishpatai tishmor. So Hashem is now appearing to Shlomo Melech and guiding him. He's saying, okay, I received all your tefillahs. I'm with you. We're one. We're on the same channel here. And now what you have to do, and it's going to happen now. We have this Beis HaMikdash, and my eyes and my heart are going to be there all the time. What's eyes and what's heart? How would you understand? What's Hashem's eyes? What's Hashem's heart? Okay, interesting. Okay, very good.
What did you say about us?
Hashgacha.
providence? No, it's like Ashkafa is like supervision.
Yeah, divine providence. Yeah, that's right.
Providence.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard as Shefa, Brachot.
He says, Rashi says like this. Rashi says, Targum Yonatan, Teishchinati Sharya Bey Imru'uti Mitavda. My divine presence and my divine will. That's the way he puts it. Like the eyes are the like you said, Ashkaka Pratis and divine providence, and the heart has to do with the will. Okay, we'd have to work on this, what exactly it means. But it means that Hashem is going to be present in the Beis Hamikdash, guiding the Am as through the relationship to the tefillas, korbanot, etc. Okay. Lakimoti et kisei mamlaktecha al Yisrael. You have to keep the mitzvah. That's what he says. Yeah. If you keep the mitzvah, then your malchus will stay with you and your descendants. Lakimoti et kisei mamlaktecha al Yisrael li'olam. I will establish and maintain the throne of your kingdom, al Yisrael, forever. Kasher dibarti al David avicha. I'm up to Pasuk. Pasuk Hey, yeah. Pasuk Tet Hey, yeah. Kasher dibarti al David avicha lemor lo yikaret lecha ish me'al kisei Yisrael. So Hashem made a conditional. He's reaffirming the conditional commitment to the house of David. That the house of David will always have the kings as long as they keep the mitzvahs and don't stray from them. It will go from son to son. Im shov teshuvun atem uvnechem me'acharai v'lo tishmeru mitzvotai chukotai asher netati lifnechem v'lachtem ba'adatem Elohim acharim v'shtachavitem lehem. But if they move away and they don't keep the mitzvot and they start serving other gods, v'krati et Yisrael me'al pnei adamah Shenatati lehem v'tabayit asher kdashti l'shmi ashalach me'al panai v'ya Yisrael l'mashal v'shnina b'kol ha'amim. It's not only will the house of Beis David be interrupted, but also there will be galut. If we stop, he moves to the whole nation now. That the king and also the whole nation has to keep the mitzvah, and then we'll have the Beis Hamikdash intact and the relationship intact. When we start to go away from the mitzvah and they start to do avodah zarah, so what will happen is the nation will be cut off from Eretz Yisrael, and they'll become like a mashal and a shenina b'kol. I mean, everybody we were talking about Israel, they're using us as an example of what you shouldn't be like, and that's what's going to happen if they don't keep the mitzvah. Ba'da zeh yeh elyon kol over alav yishom v'sharak. This house will be elyon. So there's a different discussion about what it means. It will be elyon. So one shot is the Metzudas David says it means like it says it will be. It means it was. Sometimes it's turned around. The grammar over there means it was elyon. The bayit was very lofty, up on the highest heights. But now whoever passes by whistles. They go, what happened to that? And they see the ruins of the Beis Hamikdash and the devastation which is there after it was at such high heights, and everybody knew about the greatness of the Beis Hamikdash. This was the worldwide, the Shlomo Melech's success, his wealth, his success, his amazingness. So, which we're going to see more of. So, everyone's going to now, when it's destroyed because people aren't keeping the mitzvah, they're doing avodah zarah. So, people are going to come and they're going to use the Beis Hamikdash as an example of what happened. Like there was greatness here, and they didn't hold up their end, and look what happened. Such devastation. V'yamru, they're going to say, Almeh asa Hashem kacha la'aretz hazot l'bayit hazeh. They're going to walk by and they're sort of whistling, and they're going to be astonished, and they're going to say, why did Hashem do this to this great house? V'yamru al asher azvu et Hashem Elokehem, because they abandoned their Hashem, their Elokim. Shotzi et avotam me'eretz Mitzrayim v'yachaziku be'elohim acharim. They're going to abandon Hashem who brought them out of Egypt, and they're going to take hold of other gods. Yishtachavu lahem, and they'll bow to them, and they bow to them. V'yavdum al kein hevi Hashem aleim et kol hara azot. Another shot is what it's. Let me go back a second. So that's what's going to happen. if we go away from Hashem, we go from the mitzvot, we start doing avodah zarah, so then the house will be destroyed, the people will be sent out of Eretz Israel, and people will walk by and they'll say, wow, what is this devastation? Then they'll answer, because Hashem brought them out of Egypt. He brought them to the place different from all the nations. A different relationship, a very close relationship, which He formed with us in when He put us out of Egypt. He created high expectation to us. And more than that, Hashem's divine providence was direct with us. So when we start going away from what we're supposed to be doing, so the punishment is immediate. Whereas the other nations is not the same. They don't have such a close relationship. When they do something wrong, they don't get punished immediately or to the same degree. But by us, they're going to say, oh, that's why the Beis Hamikdash is destroyed, because they had the closest relationship and they didn't hold up their end. Okay. It says,
like the other nations are getting closer to Hashem from our destruction.
Does it?
They can. Like,
it sounds like they're observing correctly what happened.
yeah.
They're seeing how Hashem has this close relationship with us. That's good for them.
Yeah.
That's it. That's what should happen.
Teaching the world when we mess up.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Isn't there something about Avodah Zarah that if Am Yisrael is united, Hashem will forgive Avodah Zarah?
It doesn't say that. It says we win wars. That's what it says in the Gemara.
Okay.
It says in the days of Achav they were doing Avodah Zarah, but they won wars because they were together. So they have a certain strength in unity even when they're doing the wrong thing. But in disunity, they lose wars, even when we're doing the mitzvahs. But that's a different subject. Doesn't say that. Doesn't mean that all we need is Achdut. We need the mitzvahs also. And Avodah Zarah is a big problem.
But this was the first. Achdut was the first thing we lost after Shlomo. The kingdom split.
After Shlomo. Okay. I just another thought here also. So I like what you said, that it seems like the nations it was set up that the nations would learn from what happened. Not only us, they should also learn. They would see the devastation. They would say, well, that's because of the close relationship here, and they didn't. Israel fell short, and then that could inspire them. What happened was it shows how bad Christianity was. Like Christianity came and made a new narrative. They said Am Yisrael was rejected forever. That's not the pshat. That's a mistake. They weren't rejected forever. There was such a close relationship that there's immediate consequences. But it's not rejection. There's never rejection. So that was a misunderstanding.
And that's it?
That's it, right? Is that we're up to?
That's it, I think.
Ted. Okay. Very good. Do you ever read Mark Twain's description of his visit to Eretz Israel?
Yeah, well, we were doing Rav Kaplan.
Yeah, it's fantastic. He was a really special person, really great writer, really amazing person, and he appreciated the Jews. He has an essay on the Jews, praising them to Shemayim, and he also has a story which he describes his trip to Eretz Israel, and he describes that he came to Shemayim and he saw the Machon Meir, and he describes the desolation. He says, I've never seen such desolation in my life. Like it's just like it says in the Torah. He was like, whoa. He describes it. It's really amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Describes it as the curse that the land receives